Hey guys and gals, it's your boy JR, aka Lone Wolf Bushcraft. I am glad you are here. Hope you guys and gals are all doing well out there. Tonight I'm going to be talking about the minimalist Bowie knife. I'll be talking about this knife here. I also will be talking about this buck folding knife. So I'll be talking about the buck folding knife. I'll be talking about this knife here. It's a folder, but it's got some extra features on it. So I'll be talking about this knife here. This is a general folder knife I picked up. I'll just be showing it off a little bit. It is, it's a moss oak folding knife, so I'll be talking a little bit about that one. And this one I ended up getting at a knife place, and I picked it up for free. And nothing's better than free, but I'll be talking a little bit about this folding knife as well. And last but not least, I'll be going over Chapter 1 of the Bushcraft 101 book, A Field Guide to the Art of Wilderness Survival. This was written by Dave Canterbury, but I'm going to go over Chapter 1 of this book. So that's what's going to be in the video tonight, or that's what I'm going to talk about during the live stream. So let's go to the knives first. My name's JR, aka Lone Wolf Bushcraft. I look for any reason to buy me a knife. The neat thing about the minimalist Bowie knife here, it's a really cool knife. It's a smaller knife. And look at that. Look at that minimalist Bowie. It's really cool. Once again, it's called the minimalist Bowie knife. And it's just a really good knife. It's a really good looking knife. As you see, it's full tang and it's a smaller knife. And it is they call these kind of knives a neck knife because you can wear it around your neck. In this case, you can drop the length. You can make the length any size you want there. So as you see, it's a neck knife. And you just pull it whenever you need it. And what's really cool about having a little knife, you're more likely to carry it. I mean, big knives come in handy also, but I really like these small. This is my first small neck knife. There's a little rope feature at the end of it there. But once again, this is called the minimalist Bowie knife. It's a really cool knife. Yeah, so I really like this neck knife, the minimalist Bowie. And once again, full tang means it's metal from the end all the way to the tip. That's what full tang means. Hey, what's happening? Deborah Orat came into my live. She says, hey, Daddy Lone, good morning. How are you? I'm doing well, Deborah Orat. I'm doing well. Right now I'm talking about the minimalist Bowie knife here. It's a small neck knife. It's really cool. So that's what I'm talking about right now in my live, the minimalist Bowie knife. And once again, anytime you have a knife, all that full tang means is from the very tip all the way to the end, and that's supposed to make for a stronger knife, having a full tang knife. So tonight we're talking about the minimalist Bowie. We're talking about this neck knife tonight. And we're also going to talk about this folder here. So this is a buck knife here, made in the USA buck knife. And it's a folder knife. And yeah, I like the green spacer they got right here on the back. That's really cool. And of course, it's got a lock feature. Yeah, you can see that lock feature right there. And you just press this down to fold it back. And once again, this is the buck folder knife. It's got a nice clip right here so you can wear it in your belt. So it's a pretty nice knife. And this knife's really interesting. Um, there's a company, it's the Quip company. So, oh, I'm sorry, it's the Ozark Trail. This is one of the Ozark Trail gear pieces. It's a folding knife. And then it also has a little light at the end. Check out that little light at the end. And there's a magnet right here. As you can see the magnet. So you put it right there. So as it goes right there on the knife there. So kind of cool. Got a little magnet at the end there, and it's a light, little tiny light right there. So that's kind of cool. And then you just turn it the other way and you close the light off. So it's got that feature. It's got a belt cutter right here. And then it's got a glass breaker. There's the glass breaker feature. And of course, this is where you can cut rope. This little feature right there. Here's another cool feature I like about this folder. Whoops. Popped right up there. Here's what I like about this feature. It's got a small ferro rod. And a lot of little folder knives don't have that. But this folder knife does have the small ferro rod. Welcome, RS. How's it going? And ARS, how's it going? RS Chavez in the house and Deborah's in the house. So this folder knife, and yeah, so you usually don't see that in a folder knife, this feature with the small little ferro rod. And of course you got the glass breaker. Not all folders have that. And then you got your cordage cutter right here, which is really cool. In case of an emergency, you could cut your seat belt off if you had to, especially if you had this knife on you. Now this lock feature is different from this one. Here you can unlock it from the back of the knife. On this feature, it's on the inside, and you just simply, I don't know if you can see it, you pull it to the side and then you can fold it back. Oh, and then right here it's got a can opener feature. So can opener, let's see, can opener right here. Here's the can opener, here's the light. Here's the ferro rod that's on the knife. Seat belt cutter, or in case you want to cut rope, and then of course the emergency glass breaker there. So that's pretty cool. So, and once again, this is made by Ozark Trail. I want to say at the time I bought this knife, it was anywhere between $7.99 or maybe $9.99. I bought this folder knife a while back ago, but once again, it's made by Ozark Trail. And then this knife right here, it's a folder, but it doesn't have all the features that the other one I just showed you. It's got a really nice stud right there. They call these like thumb studs, because you can take your thumb like that and just simply open the knife. Has a very nice thing so you can hook it on your pocket there. No spacers. Like in the buck knife, there was a really nice green spacer right here. So I like that. So there's in the buck knife, there's a metal spacer here and also a pretty green spacer right there. Look at that pretty green spacer. So I like that. And this one cost a little more than this one here. But once again, no spacers in the back, but it does have the whole metal thing that goes there. They call this like a skeleton. Whenever you have a folder knife, the look of this is like a metal skeleton in the back there. So, and the way to close, and this one, the way to close this one, you just push the metal thing to the side and you fold it right back. So pretty nice folder knife. Here's another folder knife, and it's got a little see-through material right here. And this one you just simply open like this. And then it's got a metal spacer in the back, nice metal spacer. And then right here is its lock and unlock feature. You just press that down and you're able to fold the knife right back. I couldn't beat the price on this one. I was buying another, I think I was buying another fixed blade knife at the time that I got this. And this one actually was for free. So it's pretty cool. Hi, Dinah. Dana Jane Vlogs. How's it going? Welcome to the live. This knife, and it's got a really nice pocket holder. It's kind of a camo, kind of micarta-like camo there. So that's kind of cool. This one was awesome because it was free. Because I bought a solid fixed blade knife, and then I got this one for free. So those are it for the folder knives. Now we're going to the Bushcraft 101, written by Dave Canterbury. A field guide to the art of wilderness survival. Very cool book to get, especially if you're just getting into bushcrafting. And tonight I thought I would go up, I thought I would go over chapter 1 in this book. So chapter 1, and the title of this is called Your Pack. Chapter 1, Your Pack. So let's go to chapter 1. So chapter 1, and the part is called Part 1, Gearing Up. So that's pretty cool. And the first thing it talks about is, and Dave Canterbury, he's the one that came up with this. It's called the 5 C's of Survivability. He talks about that in chapter 1. Number 1, cutting tools. Number 2, cover elements. Number 3, combustion. And number 4, containers. And number 5, cordage. And also in chapter 1, he talks about rucksacks. He even gives a nice, really cool diagram on how to, if you had a wool blanket and you were going to pack it together, he's got a really nice diagram here on how you'd pack that. Now, the cool thing about rucksacks compared to, there's a difference between rucksacks and also your regular backpacks. What's neat about backpacks, you have a backpack, right? And it's usually got lots of different compartmentalized places where you can zip things. And it's organized, but it's all in little tiny areas and pouches. But what's neat about a rucksack is one big giant thing that you can put stuff down. And probably what a lot of people do, if I was packing a rucksack, I would probably put my tent at the very bottom, and then I would probably put my blanket, and then I'd probably put my sleeping bag, and then, or in some cases, when people are packing up their rucksack, they can even put their sleeping bag and even their blanket at the very bottom as well. So, from the way I understand, your heavier items or your items you don't need to get to right away, you would put at the bottom of your rucksack, and then you would build up all the way to then your smallest items. But anyways, a rucksack is like one giant compartment that you can start packing your gear in. And that's the difference between rucksacks, or that's how I understand the difference between rucksacks and, say, a backpack. And, this one's talking about building pack frames. It's got a nice illustration there for a pack frame. And it's kind of in a triangle. So it's kind of, boy, that's a terrible triangle. But anyways, it's kind of like a triangle like that. It's 2 wood sticks going this way and 1 wood stick at the bottom. And basically you're making a pack frame. What's up, Choi Nai Gunjos? I probably pronounced that wrong. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can pronounce that again. Choyani Gunjos. Cool. Welcome to the live. So basically, you're basically in pack frames. They're talking about the different frames you can. You make a frame out of pieces of wood that you find in the woods, and in this case, they're doing it in a rectangle fashion. So that's pretty cool. And then another area they're talking about pack baskets. And those are interesting because they can vary in size from a small basket, weaving a small basket, to weaving a very, very large size. So it depends on, I guess, how much gear you're going to take with you when you're making a pack basket. Haversacks. Haversacks are kind of like a little small kind of sack. Haversacks can range to be like kind of like this size, a haversack, and you could probably put your 10Cs in that haversack. So you could probably put your combustion, your tarp. So yeah, you can put that in a haversack. Or I've seen a lot of people even put some of their cooking sets in a haversack. Another category is personal carry kit for travel afoot. And then other items, it suggests that other items you would put in your pockets would be a jackknife, a compass, and a lighter is what you'd put in your physical pockets in your pants. Your belt, you could put a knife sheet, it suggests. And then it says the other thing you could put on your belt, it's spelled Kukksa. It's a traditional wooden cup. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. But it's a traditional wooden cup that you can put on a toggle, which you can put on your boat. Hey, Adrian. Hey, yo, bro, Lone. Hey, welcome, Adrian. Welcome to the live. I'm going over some tips of the Bushcraft 101, and right now I'm in chapter 1 of the book. Welcome to the live. Other things, now on your belt pouch, it would suggest you could put sunglasses, ferrocerium rods wrapped on the end with one duct tape. The neat thing about duct tape or putting duct tape on your ferro rod, you can actually, in an emergency, you can use duct tape for fire building in an emergency. Spare lighter, it says to put in your belt pouch. You could put a spare lighter, a carving jack, and number 6 tear mariner's line. So that'd be like a fishing line you would also put in your belt pouch. Now here's the suggestions. It says to put in your haversack a watch coat, which is an oilcloth, handkerchief, which is linen, cordage, partial roll, number 36 tire mariner's line. That's like a black cordage. It's a real thin black cordage. But you can also use that for fishing if you had to. It says work gloves would go in your haversack and a square ferrocerium rod, 6 by 1/2 inch, wrapped with one duct tape. So I don't know if any of you've seen those, but the ferrocerium rods are pretty cool. They vary in size. Some of them are about this long, some are about this long, and some of them are like really, really tiny. When you use a ferrocerium rod, of course, you'll take off the black coating first, and then as you strike it with your knife, let's just we'll use this as an example. Sorry about this. There we go. So here's our ferrocerium rod, and then right here, we'd just take the back of our knife and we would just strike down at the ferrocerium rod. It would cause lots of hot sparks, which in turn would light your tinder. So sometimes some ferrocerium rods are this small, and what's it called? It's called a ferrocerium rod. And that's what I like about this particular folder knife, because it has a ferrocerium rod. All right, back to the book. So that's the items that it's haversack. So watch coat, oilcloth, handkerchief, cordage, work gloves, and a spare ferrocerium rod. Now, items that suggest for you to go in your pack would be 8x8 oilcloth tarp, large 55-gallon plastic trash bag. What's neat about the 55-gallon trash bag, you could stuff leaves in it if you were, like if you knew you were stuck somewhere for the night, and let's say you didn't have a sleeping bag, you could actually take that 55-gallon drum trash bag and you could start to stuff it with lots of leaves so that when you put it on the ground, it would give you some cushion between you and the ground. If you were ever stuck in the woods at night and you had to go to sleep for the night, you want to put something between you and the ground, because if not, the ground is just going to suck the heat out of your body and you're going to wake up really cold in the morning. So, yeah, some people put a tarp on the ground. Some people put a tarp and a sleeping bag on the ground. Some people put a tarp, sleeping pad, and a sleeping bag. So all of that is to prevent the ground from at night from taking all the heat away from your body. But anyways, that's one uses for a 55-gallon drum trash bag. So yeah, once again, he's talking about stuff you'd put in your pack: 8x8, oilcloth tarp, and of course that's you're gonna hang that tarp over your head to protect you from the elements. Hey, Choi9, Gonjos, Adrian. See who else is here. All right. So 8x8 oilcloth tarp. Some of the tarps I get, I kind of like a little longer coverage instead of 8x8. Sometimes I get a 12x10 tarp. 12x10 tarp. I like the bigger tarps, so that way I'm not only placing myself in there, but I'm also placing my gear under there. Twin wool blanket, and that's also to keep you warm at night. Queen's wool blanket, or a military Mylar sleep system. Yeah, the military modular sleep system. It has or you could replace that with a bivy bag. SAS waterling, hunter's axe, one roll of mariner's line. You can use that to build. You could use that mariner's line to build shelters. You could also use that mariner's line to fish as well. Folding saw or 20-inch bow saw. A bush pot where you can cook boil your water in case you had to purify your water. Skillet, so you can cook stuff in the morning like eggs and bacon. Wax canvas bag. 3 beeswax candles and 6 candles of fat wood. Fat wood would help you start a fire, and the beeswax candles would last long to give your camp a good. But the beeswax candles, they sell them at the Self-Reliance Outfitter store, and that basically you're putting it in a small lantern and gives you light. And some of them are the bigger lanterns that hold 3 of those wax candles. That gives you nice lighting at night. Yeah, and then it says candle lantern, notebook, and pencils, 2 or 3 full-length hemp rope. You can use that also as fire tinder. Parachute cord, ridge line, so you can set up your tarp with ridge line. Repair kit for knife, axe, blades, straps, webbing, and or canvas. And another tarred mariner's line. So I see a theme going here. He definitely wants you to pack mariner's line. 2 sail needles, 1 Lasky diamond rod, 1 small whetstone, and 2 16P nails. Those nails you could also build a shelter with if you had to. What's up? How's it going? The name Avizor channel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Anyways, welcome to the Lone Wolf Bushcraft Live. The next area is summer fishing kit, and they said it's going to be a small kit. 2 ridge lines, 1 fly line floating, and 1 braided line with a hook. Small vial of spit shot and assorted hooks, and 3-prong metal frogs to go frog gigging. Now, I've never been frog gigging. It's usually got 3 little black prongs on it. It's probably, some of the frog gigs vary from probably this size to like maybe that size. But I've never gone frog gigging, so I don't know if frog legs taste like chicken. But it's another way. Fishing's one way to procure food, and also another way to procure food would be to go frog gigging, which I have not done. I've done the fishing, but I've not gone the frog gigging. And he suggests another kit, which is a winter trapping kit, and 3 body grip straps, 2 body grip straps, 1 number 3 double long spring trap, 12 assorted snares, 25 baling wire, and firearm and accoutrements. And he says under that title it could be seasonal. So I never trapped. Snares is where you're getting smaller game and you're trapping smaller games like squirrels, chipmunks. And then it can go from chipmunks to even bigger animals. Of course, some of the more bigger animals could be even like deer and stuff. I never processed a fish and I've never processed deer. I watched enough videos where I could do it if I absolutely had to, especially the fish, cutting the fish's head off. And then mainly whether you're processing a squirrel or a fish, you just got to make sure none of the guts spill out onto the meat while you're trying to take all that guts and stuff off. So mainly taking all the stuff away from the meat area of whether you're processing a squirrel or processing fish. Just want to make sure none of that stuff gets spilled onto the meat that you're going to probably cook over the fire. So I don't know what squirrel tastes like. I don't know if it tastes like chicken or not. I've had fried fish. Fried fish is really good. I imagine that's really good over the fire. And then down below, it's got tips and tricks for your pack. And that's probably how you pack your items and stuff in your backpack. And then it also mentions 5 to 10 liter bags that are waterproof. And I imagine they look a little bit like haversacks when you grab your various different waterproof bags. All right, so we covered quite a lot in Chapter 1. So Chapter 2 is called Tools. And we showed off a few tools earlier. We showed off the folding buck knife here, which got a really pretty green spacer. So I really like folding knives. This buck knife is an American-made knife. So we showed that off earlier. The other knife we showed off, which is also a folder knife, is the Moss. There it is. You can see it on there. It's a moss oak folding knife. So really nice knife. And the back of this is kind of called like a skeleton. It doesn't have any spacers. But I really like, it's nice to have a variety of different knives. So, and I simply look at knife as simply more than, it's just simply a tool that's good to cut cordage. There are channels out there that are primitive channels that show you how to make cutting tools in the, in the woods. It's just much easier to have a knife. I mean, yeah, you could play around and then of course I showed off this one earlier. That's got a light. It's got a small ferro rod here. There's your cordage to cut rope. There's your glass breaker in an emergency. And here's a small ferro rod. I love the fact that this little folder knife has a ferro rod. It's really cool. What's up, Hong Kong Angel? How's it going? Hi there. Hey, hey, hey. I'm just going over various different folding knives right now. So, going over different various folder knives. Welcome, Hong Kong Angel. So, but yeah, now, yeah, a lot of folder knives aren't going to have this. The bottle opener, small light. Let me pull the small light out of here. There we go. So there's the small light. And then the other thing that's cool with the small light You can hook it to some metal. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of neat. Like if you had a metal and you just wanted to look, that's kind of cool. But yeah, a lot of small folder knives don't have a little light feature, which is cool. I think that's cool. Oop, got to turn off my little light there. And then once again, if we want to close it, we just push that to the side. So yeah, pretty cool folder. It's got lots of different features. Yeah, and I love it's got a bottle opener, a light, and then also a small ferrocerium rod. So it's pretty cool. Love the fact that you could cut your seatbelt out in an emergency or cordage if you're building something in camp. I love that little glass breaker there. So that's pretty cool for a folder knife. All right. So we covered quite a lot in chapter 1. Hey, Deborah. Oh, Deborah's saying hi to the other people in the chat, so that's cool. Once again, if you were just getting into bushcrafting or wanted to know more about bushcrafting, the Bushcraft 101, a field guide to the art of wilderness, a field guide to the art of wilderness survival. This Bushcraft 101 by Dave Canterbury would be a really good book to pick up. So chapter 2 is going to be on tools. And I'm going to read, looks like there's an expert. It's a small expert before it starts chapter 2. It's a little thing by Phil D. Finnegan, and it was written in 1933. And he writes, in the early days of American life, the axe and the knife were the two indispensable tools. With the knife, they made spoons, brooms, rakes, and bowls, trimmed the skins of animals, and they caught and made the smaller things they needed in the cabin or around it. So basically, they used an axe and a knife quite a lot during the pioneer times. All right. And as you go into chapter 2 more, it talks about the butcher blade, which is a little bit longer blade. Of course, the butcher blade, you're processing meats. The trade knife blade and the Spencer's point blade and basic knife blade profiles. So it's got a nice illustration there for the profiles. Oh, wow. Okay. And then further in that, it talks about the different grinds of blade. And each blade has its own kind of grind at the bottom. You can see that silvery stuff. And it gives basic knife grades, and it shows a nice illustration. Oops. Shows a nice illustration there of basic knife grades. There's one grade called a hollow grind, a convex grind. Hollow grind, a convex grind, flat grind, and Scandinavian grinds. And each one of them, each of the different bushcrafters, they have their own favorite kind of grinds that they like on their knives. So, and when you go to buy a knife, it says jackknives are folder knives. So he refers to these kind of knives as jackknives, folder knives. Any kind of folder knife is a jackknife. So that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. So, yep. So he refers to folder knives as jackknives. So that's interesting. I learned something new myself. That's cool. And then in this, he's got an illustration talking about the safety grip and the grip of the blade. This right here would be called the grip of a blade. Whatever texture is on the handle is what they refer to when they refer to the grip of the blade. So, like this one has it's very subtle thumb grooves, but it's very subtle. And then right here is a nice thumb groove here. So, and as I place my thumb on it, I feel like my thumb's not going to go anywhere. So some folder knives even have thumb grooves like this buck knife does. So that's pretty cool. So in that, he's talking about the different ways to hold a knife safely. So that's pretty cool. Here's an area where it talks about notchings and batoning, and how batoning goes, and it gives a little illustration how you'd hold your knife over the piece of wood while you take another piece of wood and you would baton. And how that would probably look, you have your knife right here, then you have your piece of wood here. Oops. Anyways, that was pretty funny. Anyways, you have your knife here, and let's say this is a piece of wood, and so you put it like that across the wood. Then you take another piece of wood. You would take another piece of wood and you would hit down, and that's what batoning is. So anytime you read in any of the bushcraft books, you got your blade over your piece of wood right here, and then of course you're taking your other piece of wood and you're batoning down on the wood. So that's what they mean whenever they refer to anything about knives batoning wood. So, but in this chapter, it gives all the hints and safety things when batoning a piece of wood. Some bushcrafters, instead of using a knife to baton, of course, if I'm using a knife to baton, it's not a folder knife, it's a fixed blade knife. So I would not baton with a folder knife. A fixed blade knife is a knife that you don't fold, and it's exactly as it says, it's a fixed blade knife. So I just wanted to make sure I put that in there. Well, in this chapter, it talks about log cabin notches, and those would be really big notches on really large pieces of wood if you were building a cabin. It goes into talking about pot and bale notching, which is you would make, and it's got a nice illustration of notches there. But you would you would notch the wood just right so you could hang a cooking bale on top of it. So that's pretty cool. And once again, we're in chapter 2, and it talks about cutting saplings with a knife, bark removal, and feather sticks. Now, feather sticks is when you got a piece of wood in your hand, you got your knife, and you're going this way down the piece of wood, and you're making very thin feather sticks. So you're making very thin curls of wood. And after you make a whole bunch of those curls of wood, of course, you get your ferro rod. Get your ferro rod out. This is after you got your tinder bundle set, got your pieces of wood there and your tinder bundle, and then you're striking down on your tinder bundle, which is going to ignite that tinder bundle. You slowly start building your fire. Hey, MJZ, how's it going? How's it going, brother? Welcome to the live. Tonight I was talking about the various different folder knives. And we're also talking about the Bushcraft 101, a field guide to the art of wilderness survival, written by Dave Canterbury. And so the people that will click on this video down the road later, they'll know I'm talking about the Bushcraft 101 book written by Dave Canterbury. And earlier in the video, I went over all the features of this folder knife here. Other things we shared is sometimes you buy folders that don't have spacers, and here's a folder knife with some really cool spacer work. And lots of people are more likely to carry a folding knife than they are a full tang knife. Some people do it though. They carry full tang knives all the time. But I think the neat thing about these folder knives, they're nice and convenient. They're a lot easier to put in your pocket. Oh, the other knife I was bragging about is this neck knife that I'm wearing right here. It's got a really nice handle. And this is called the Minimalist Bowie. So earlier in the video, I talked about this Minimalist Bowie knife. I also talked about what full tang means, which means the metal goes from the tip. Whenever someone says they purchased a full tang knife, they're talking about the metal starts from the tip of the knife and goes all the way through the handle. So that's what full tang knife means. And this is my first neck knife that I've ever purchased. So I think I picked it up at Dick's Sporting Goods, but they're really cool. The other thing I like about this particular neck knife, it did come with some features where you can attach it to your belt. So if you don't feel like wearing the neck knife around your neck, you can also hook that belt feature to it and wear it on your belt. So you're not necessarily stuck wearing it around your neck. All right. So bark removal, also that bark that you're removing, your feather sticks, you can also add that to your tinder bundle. Another part in chapter 2 talks about knife care. And there's various different types of knife sharpeners you can buy. And of course, what they're wanting you to do, or as far as knife care, you're basically taking care of this part of the knife, which is the sharp part of the knife. And like I said, they got a variety of different, there's so many different knife. Some are really big kits, and some of them are really, really tiny kits. I like the really tiny kits because that you're more likely to carry that with you at all times, and that way you can keep your this part of the blade sharp all the time. So, like I said, there are some primitive channels that do talk about how to make cutting edge tools primitively. I guess by sharpening rocks really hard and turning those into knives. Me, I'd much rather just buy a knife. But those channels are showing you how to make tools from scratch. So, but I kind of like buying tools that. And when I go camping, I'm not playing survival out there. I'm just building a campfire, building a shelter, or sometimes if I'm not building a shelter, I've taken a 2-person tent out there. Like my last camping trip, I went and camped in Brown County State Park. First, I set up my hammock, then I set up my tent, and then I set up my campfire. And when I go camping, I bring my favorite foods. Bring my favorite foods, bring my favorite drinks, and I just have a good time. So, yeah. All right. So we're in chapter 2. Okay. Oh, and it talks about the different, in this chapter here, it talks about the different ways you can sharpen your knife. So some folks use sharpening. Another category they're talking about is saws. So there's various different sizes of folding saws out there and hand saws. And it's got a nice illustration there with hand saws, how to cut large pieces of wood with a handsaw. And then it goes into saw safety, and it also goes into saw care. The neat thing about a saw, it can cause, especially when you take a saw with you into the woods, it helps with, of course you could take a knife. Of course, a lot of people that chop woods with their knife, it's usually not with a folder. It's usually with a full tang, a very large full tang knife. And a lot of bushcrafters like to use the saw, especially if you're dealing with bigger pieces of wood. And it takes a lot of the work out when you use a handsaw. So, next category talks about in chapter 2 is an axe. There's full axes, and then the smaller axes they call hatchets. And lately I've had experiences with hatchets, not with a real large axe. I still need to acquire that. I still need to get me a large axe. But a large axe would help you cut wood faster than a hatchet would. And then, of course, a hatchet would cut wood faster than a big, large knife. So, yeah, I know bushcrafters, instead of batoning, they'd much rather use a small hatchet than to baton wood. So, but a lot of guys that likes wood loves to baton wood. But there's even that has a limit when you're batoning wood because your knife's only so big. So that's when the hatchet comes in. And then when work gets too big for a hatchet, then you go to the big axe. So the larger the job, the more you start moving up. This is really cool. Shows an illustration on how to chop wood safely, even if you're using a large axe. So that's pretty cool. Here's one illustration where they started using a large axe to chop a tree, and then they go in and start using their bow saw to finish the rest. And then in chapter 2 talks about bucking, notching, batoning with an axe, axe care, and axe sharpening. So that's pretty cool. Wow, that's a really cool illustration. After he chopped down through the log here, after he chopped down through this log, he put in little wedges of wood. A wedge can be kind of like this big here. So pieces of, I don't know if I'm doing that right. A wedge can look like that. And then the illustration, as he keeps chopping down this large log, he keeps putting in a wood wedge. And what's that wedge do as you keep chopping down through the large log? The wedge, you keep pushing those wedges down, and that helps you pull the log apart. So that's pretty cool. There's a really neat YouTube video. It's got an older gentleman. I think he went out into the Alaskan wilderness, and he went and built his own log cabin out in the Alaskan wilderness. First, I think he got all of his logs before he had all of his logs processed. I mean, he used logs from the area. So I think part of the year he processed all of his logs, and then the next when the next year where the weather was nice again, after he had all these logs that had dried and been processed, then he started building his log cabin out in the woods. And oh man, I wish I could remember his name offhand. But anyways, I think he did this like in the 50s and 60s, went out into the Alaskan wilderness and built himself a cabin, which is pretty cool. So chapter 3 of Dave Canterbury's Bushcraft 101 goes over rope, cordage, and webbings and knots. So that's pretty cool. So I think I'm going to leave chapter 3 for another live stream. So we're going to stop at chapter 3. I'm going to re-go over the buck knife here because it's a real beautiful folder knife. I really love this knife. Hey, Hong Kong Explorer. So some people are talking to each other down in the chats there. But anyways, I really love this buck knife. It's an American-made knife. And then I love the spacers in the back, which is really cool. So very beautiful folder knife. This one's cool because it's got a thumb. They call those thumb studs. So there's a thumb stud. Just press it with your thumb. Locks into place. And this, instead of the spacer, it has a more of a skeleton look there. So that's kind of cool. And just push that on the inside to close it. And this one's got micarta camo handle there. It's a nice knife as well. Nice folder knives. I'm more likely to carry a folder knife on me, especially when I go hiking instead of a big giant. I do have some big giant blades that I do like batoning with, but sometimes when I'm going on a simple small hike, I'll just carry a simple folder knife. And this is the folder knife that has all the features. It's got the thumb stud. It's got the bottle opener. There's the light. There's the ferro rod. Cordage cutter, and also seatbelt cutter in emergencies, and it's also got a nice glass breaker there. And once again, this one's made by Ozark Trail. It's in the Ozark Trail gear line, and I want to say it was around maybe $8.99 or $9.99. But so I got all the different features, which are not always on folder knives. So we got 4 people in the chat, jamming, rapping with each other. So I'm glad I'm bringing these. Once again, a lot of these videos are going to be titled Lone Wolf Bushcraft Live Show will be the title of the majority of these videos. And how I started off with this series is simply talking about Dave Canterbury's book, Bushcraft 101, A Field Guide to the Art of Wilderness Survival. And he has another series of books that are more advanced bushcrafting book, but this bushcraft book is your very first basic bushcraft book. And I'm glad I'm starting off my Lone Wolf Bushcraft Live Show series with this book, because I get so many questions of people asking me what bushcraft is. And so it's neat that I'm going over this book and sharing with my audience about bushcrafting. So the other thing I like to share with you guys is I really love getting outdoors. I love getting outdoors. I love setting up my camp. I love setting up a hammock. The hammock system I use is it's the Atlas hammock system. It's got a series. It comes with two ends of straps, and each strap's got, like, I don't know, maybe 15 loops on it. So it's really easy. You can put a carabiner on each end of your hammock, and you just hang it through the loop. And of course, depending on how far your trees are apart, is how you will space out your straps. But it's a quick, easy way to hang a hammock up really quick, because you don't have to do any fancy knots or ropes. You just take a simple carabine, hook it at the end of your hammock, and then hook it at the end of one of those loops. It's just that fast, which is cool. The carabiners I use, they're about this size, and they're metal, and then they got a metal lock in the end that you can move up and down to lock it and unlock it. So, but yeah, when I first get to camp, I'm looking around best way where to put my tent. I look above me before I set up my tent. I look up in the sky. I look at how the trees are. I make sure I don't put my tent under any tree that looks like it could fall on the tent. They call those type of trees widow makers, because it can literally fall on your tent and kill you. So it's important when you are setting up your tent somewhere, especially if it's in a remote area, you definitely want to look up, look around, make sure no trees could fall on your tent. So yeah, I set up my hammock first, and then I look for really flat ground to set up on my tent. And then I set my tent up. I make sure I put all my sleeping stuff inside my tent. Once my tent's all set up, I usually go with a 2 or 3 person tent. I know I'm camping by myself, but I like having a tent large enough to put me in and also put all my gear in. So that way, regardless, even if the weather changes, or let's say I didn't check the weather and bad weather rolls in or rain comes, all my gear stays dry because I'm in a 2 or 3 person tent. So, and then after I set up my tent, then I set up my campfire. And then after I'm finished setting up my campfire and I get the campfire going, I break out my favorite drinks. Maybe it's Coca-Cola, maybe it's Perrier water, or maybe it is Corona beer. So you bring your favorite drinks. I also lately have been getting into iced coffee, so I'd probably bring iced coffee as well. Hey, what's in there? Innocenting vlogger, what's up? Good morning. So it must be morning where they're at. Here it's in the evening time. It's probably like 8 or 9 something in the evening here. Welcome, welcome to the live. Welcome. So I got my hammock set up. I got my camp set up. Got my campfire going. Then the other thing I'm breaking out is probably marshmallows to roast marshmallows over the fire. Other things I may break out is hot dogs to roast hot dogs over the fire. I think the last time I went camping, I made myself chicken wraps with pepper jack cheese and mayonnaise on top. So after I had the campfire was burning. I had a chicken wrap for dinner that night. And then before I went to bed, of course, if you're in a remote area, you can't do this. You could probably clean yourself up with a wipe. But the campsite I had a modern showers. So probably at 2 or 3 in the morning, I took me a quick shower, and then I hiked back to my camp and then jumped in my sleeping bag. So I like to take a quick shower before, especially if I've been sweating all day and sweating all night and then sweating by the campfire. I like to jump in the shower. And like I said, your other backup plan could be in case you were in a remote area that didn't have modern restrooms. You could give yourself a quick wipe down and then jump in your sleeping bag. So, yeah, the kind of camping I do, I would say the majority of camping I do is car camping, which is awesome because you can bring, like I brought a specialty chair. It's called an Adirondack soft chair, so it has a wider back to it. And then I rolled I have this large black Coleman cooler. I put that at my feet, and I just set my feet up and laid back in my Adirondack chair, my soft Adirondack chair, and then looked at the campfire. So basically, when I go camping, it's nothing but find drink, find food, and find relaxing while camping. The kind of camps I've done lately is just 1 or 2 nights worth of camping. Even if I'm only able to get out there for 1 night of camping, it's still really relaxing. I think both times I went camping, I got to hear the deer call out to each other in the woods. That was pretty wild. That definitely was worth the price of admission into Brown County State Park here in Brown County, Indiana. Yeah, it was really fun. I love going to Brown County, Indiana. If you love hiking, Brown County, Indiana is an awesome place to go hiking. And the campgrounds are pretty nice, and the facilities are pretty nice in Brown County State Park, Indiana. So if I'm not camping for the night, I'm at least going hiking during the day. It's only like I want to say it's under an hour to drive by car. Might be even less than that because I'm kind of south of Indianapolis. So it maybe takes me 30 to 45 minutes to get to Brown County State Park, which ain't too bad. But yeah, I love getting away, even if it's a 1 day outing and I'm just walking in the woods hiking. Even if I'm not camping there that night, I'm just hiking for the day. There's nothing like walking by a small waterfall stream or a small creek or looking out over a lake. There's nothing like it. Now, the other thing I do besides making camping videos, I do make travel vlogs videos. Some of you have seen vlogs that I've done from here in the United States. I've done travel vlogs for the United States. I also done travel vlogs from Mexico. Now, the different places I've been, travel vlogs I made from Mexico. Hey, what's up, Sholey's House of Thrills? How's it going? Folks are saying hi to each other in the chats. So yeah, I made travel vlogs here in the United States. I've also made travel vlogs from Mexico. I also have them in each of their own playlists. So all of my travel vlogs from Mexico are all on one playlist. And then all of my travel vlogs from Peru are on its own playlist. And then my playlist from Cape Town, South Africa, all my travel vlogs from Cape Town, South Africa are all on one playlist. So you can click over to my playlist and, play all the videos from each of the travel vlogs. So the different places I've traveled to in Mexico have been, of course, Cancun. Cancun, Mexico was the very first place I got to travel to. Actually, it was my very first place I started doing travel vlogs, which was in Cancun, Mexico. So I've been to Cancun, Mexico, Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I've had nothing but good experiences in all three places. Cancun, Mexico, the food was really good. The food was awesome. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and Playa del Carmen, Mexico was really nice. The food was really awesome. And what can I say about my travel vlogs in Mexico? Well, my travel vlogs in Mexico have been, they're usually at those all-inclusive resorts. And it's really cool. You pay one price. You know how long, you know what your stay is going to cost you in the all-inclusive resorts. And the other thing that's neat, sometimes I stay about a week, almost a week worth at the all-inclusive resort. I stay about a week there. And what was neat about Cancun, Mexico is, like I said, the all-inclusive has all the different restaurants you could want to be in. Playa del Carmen, Mexico, in that all-inclusive resort, it was really cool because they had, in each restaurant, they had a theme. Like one thing was Italian food, the other one was an Italian restaurant, a French restaurant, and of course, restaurant from Mexico. But it was neat that they had all these different themes of food at their all-inclusive resort. Like I said, there was French food, Italian food, and of course, food from Mexico. And that was in Playa del Carmen when I stayed at that all-inclusive. That was pretty awesome. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, the all-inclusive had a similar thing going on. French food, Italian food, and also food from Mexico. And then the other place, I didn't get to make travel vlog videos of it, but I went to the Dominican Republic, and that was a pretty nice trip as well. I enjoyed it. It was pretty cool trip. And then my wife, she's from Lima, Peru, South America, and I made travel vlogs from Lima, Peru, South America. And then we like to go to the playa. The playa we go to most often when we're in Peru is called San Bartolo. So San Bartolo Playa. Playa means beach in Spanish. So whenever you hear me say the word playa, you know I'm talking about the beach. So the beach in Peru, San Bartolo Playa, it's very beautiful. Next to San Bartolo is a beach called Santa Maria. So the playa in Santa Maria. I love the seaside towns in Peru. They're pretty awesome, and they have lots of little restaurants there at the seaside towns in Peru. And whenever we go to Peru, it's usually like in December, bleeding a little bit into January. The longest I got to stay when I was in Peru was a whole month. It was pretty awesome. Towards the end of that month, I got a little homesick because there's no place like home. My very first experience in Peru was really, really funny. We finally drove to San Bartolo. We're driving around, and once again, this was my first time being in Peru. I saw the ocean. I hadn't swum in the ocean since I was a little tiny kid in kindergarten. My dad is a former Marine and also served in the Air Force. At the time, he was serving in the Air Force, and we lived in New Zealand. And that's where I learned how to swim. My dad literally threw me in the ocean in New Zealand. And after getting tired of swallowing some salt water, we started swimming in the ocean. So he taught us how to swim in the ocean when he was stationed in New Zealand. Anyways, I'm in Peru. I'm a young adult. I'm probably like 23 years old, and I'm a young adult. First time in Peru. Got to stay a whole month. I see the ocean water, and the first thing I ask my brother-in-law and also my wife if I can just simply go jump in the ocean. What's funny is I was wearing jean shorts at the time. It was summertime in Peru. It was in December, and it was summertime in Peru. And they said, sure, you can go jump in the ocean. So before I got out of the car, empty everything out of my pockets, in my jean shorts, empty everything out. I ran and jumped in the ocean. I'm swimming. They probably were laughing. My brother-in-law at the time had really long black hair. His name was Pedro. He was making these sounds like he could literally make his voice sound like he's a seagull singing by the sea. So, anyways, he's making these seagull sounds. I come out of the water. I start making my wife laugh because I said, wow, wow, I can taste the salt on my lips. You know, this is really awesome. And my wife's laughing. But I was just so excited that I could taste the salt on my lips when I came out of the water. And that was first time as a young adult jumping in the ocean. I was so excited about tasting the salt on my lips. And that was the first time I was in Peru. So my wife has talked about us going and retire in Peru sometime. And if we do that, we'll have to, I'm going to have us have a place close to the ocean. Because anytime I was at the ocean or the playa or the beach, I never thought about home at all. So if I ever make a permanent home in Peru, I have to make sure I'm not too far from the ocean. The other thing I enjoyed when I was in Peru is Peruvian food is really awesome. They have all kinds of steak and chicken dishes. Yeah, if you can ask people from other parts of South America, what do they think of Peruvian food? They're, especially if they've tried real Peruvian food, they're going to tell you they liked it a whole lot. So if you ever go to Peru, you're going to eat really well. Different steak and chicken dishes. It's really good. It's really good food. And then another time I went swimming in Peru, they told me about this Peruvian dish called ceviche. And I asked my wife, I said, well, what's ceviche consist of? And I guess it's a variety of different fish and octopus and calamari-like stuff. But it's not cooked. It's only simmered in lemon and lime sauce. So when I heard the word not cooked, I was like, I probably won't try that. So after we finished swimming all day, we stopped at a small Peruvian restaurant. And I overheard my wife and mother-in-law said they were going to order ceviche. And I thought maybe the safest thing I could order is I ordered a large fritter sandwich. I figured my first time being in Peru, that's probably the safest thing I could order. So I ordered this large fried Peruvian sandwich. It was like a fried pork sandwich. So when they brought out my mother-in-law's and wife's ceviche, and they also brought out my large pork sandwich, fried pork sandwich, that also had fries on the side. So I'm eating my food, but I keep looking over at my wife's ceviche, and it's looking really good. And even though they said it's only cooked, it's only simmered in lemon and lime sauce, it kind of looked cooked, even though technically it's not cooked. So finally I said, I gotta try this ceviche and see what's up. So I tried the ceviche. I ended up eating half of my wife's ceviche. It was really, really good. The Peruvian ceviche is delicious. So yeah, I can't share enough or stress enough how much I love Peruvian food. On my Facebook page, I have a Facebook page called, no, I'm sorry. I have an Instagram page called Bushcraft Lone Wolf. So if you go to my Instagram, it'll be called Bushcraft Lone Wolf. I got tons of pictures of Peruvian foods that I love on my Instagram page there. Just love it. So yeah, one of these days I may go retire in Peru. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, on my channel, you'll see lots of travel vlogs. Of course, some are from Mexico, some are from Peru, and then the last place, and then some, Mexico and Peru, you'll see travel vlog videos. The other set of videos, which are my newest set of travel vlog videos, are from Cape Town, South Africa. I have one video totally dedicated to where I hiked up Table Mountain. That video is kind of funny because you hear me complain that I wish I had gotten in better shape. But I made it all the way to the top of Table Mountain, so it was all good. It was cool. But anyways, even though it was a struggle, I still had a really good time hiking up Table Mountain. The very first thing I got to do when I did arrive in or one of the really coolest things we did, we hadn't, part of the reason we went to Cape Town, South Africa, my daughter was studying abroad, and she had studied abroad other places, but the last place she got to study abroad was Cape Town, South Africa. She had 1 week break in between her studies there in Cape Town, South Africa. She said, "Hey, Mom and Dad, when are you guys ever going to come to Cape Town, South Africa? Why don't you come down here and chill out with me for a week?" So I thought about it. My background's in public safety. I was like, oh, I wasn't sure how safe it was going to be. It ended up being fine. I totally felt safe the whole time I was in Cape Town, South Africa. So when we arrived, my wife got really emotional. My daughter was finishing up her college, and my wife got really emotional because we hadn't seen her in a couple months, and so I got to watch them embrace and cry a little bit. And then our very first night, we found a restaurant that happened to still be open. We had a really nice meal. I had a nice South African beer. I think my wife and daughter had some really nice South African wine. And so our very first night in South Africa was really nice with a simple meal and very nice wine and beer for drinks. That was pretty nice. The very first thing we got to do the next morning, my daughter took us to a place called Boulders National Park in Cape Town, South Africa, in which we got to visit the penguin colony. And then we also got to see these things that look like large beavers called dassies. And so we saw a few dassies, but we saw tons of penguins because it was a penguin colony in Boulders National Park in Cape Town, South Africa. So I got a whole video dedicated to that. And then I chopped up some smaller videos in case people didn't want to watch a large video. Same thing with my hike through Table Mountain. There's a large video of Table Mountain where you can watch my whole experience at Table Mountain during the hike. But I also chopped it into smaller videos in case you guys wanted to watch the Table Mountain hike adventure in smaller videos. But anyways, that was my first experience in South Africa, which was visiting the penguin colony in Boulder National Park. Definitely recommend because you get really close with the penguins. All they ask you to do is not touch them or try to feed them because they want them to stay wild. But I'd never been that close to wild penguins. It was pretty cool. And I'll never forget about it. I'm glad I got to make a YouTube video about it because then I can remember it. So it's pretty cool. Another video I made while I was in Cape Town, South Africa is us visiting the market. Had this really awesome specialty burger at this market in Cape Town, South Africa. It's really awesome. The market also happened to be close to where people were getting in their sailboats and sailing on the ocean. So that was pretty neat. They also had live music playing there at the market. So I ordered my gourmet burger, and then they put it on a nice, it's like a nice wooden cutting board. They set my burger on. I went and put it at my table and started eating my gourmet burger. It was really awesome. And once again, that was at the South African, Cape Town, South African live food market. So that was pretty awesome. So I made a video about that. I made 2 videos about that, about being in the live market there. And then we got the 2 main videos, which is visiting the penguin colony, and I'm visiting Table Mountain and doing the Table Mountain hike. The other cool video I made is when we visited this lighthouse in Cape Town, South Africa. And it was also in a wilderness protected area. So we're driving to the lighthouse in Cape Town, South Africa. We're driving. It was a good little drive to get to, but we made it. And what's funny is before we got to the lighthouse's parking lot, they had these kind of wild signs. So I keep passing up these signs that say, "Be careful with the baboons." And I was like, wow, I never driven anywhere in the world where it says, "Be careful with the baboons" as you're driving to a lighthouse area. And this lighthouse is in a protected wilderness area. So that's what's special about this. And obviously, hey, what's up? Good day. Oh, the O Show. I'm talking about one of my travel vlog videos where I'm visiting a lighthouse. So anyways, I'm driving towards the lighthouse, and it's got these warning signs, beware of baboons. So finally, once we park in the main parking lot in the lighthouse in Cape Town, South Africa, we get out of our car, and sure enough, I look up and I see this really large baboon sitting on a van, and then I see some smaller baboons just kind of walking around. So as we get more and more closer to the lighthouse, and there's two ways you can go up to the lighthouse. You can either walk all the way up, hike all the way up the hill to get to the lighthouse, or you can take a like kind of a ferry ride up to. Of course, my family they decided they wanted to hike up. Okay, my family always does that, so we ended up hiking up to the top of the lighthouse, and I got to take lots of pictures, which I threw on my Instagram page. And then, of course, we saw baboons just. Oh, and then I saw a large dassy up there, so that was a trip. So, anyways, instead of hiking down the lighthouse, we went and jumped on the little carts that take us down to the bottom of the hill. And then, of course, as we're walking to our car, we see baboons still walking around. I guess one baboon tried to take a lady's sweatshirt that was kind of hanging from her purse. So there was a little bit of excitement like that. I guess the baboons got close to my daughter, and she admitted she had I think she had a candy bar in her pocket, and I guess they could smell the food. But the workers there kind of yelled at the baboons and never got close. But it was pretty funny and a little bit of excitement. The other video I make, also from Cape Town, South Africa, is it's called the Takara Winery. And in the Takara Winery, I guess it was named after this guy named this winery after both of his kids and put their names together to form the Takara Winery. Had a beautiful place at that winery. Got to try lots of different wines. Had some cheese and bread. And then it was raining it started to rain a little bit that day. And you see that at the start of my video, in my Takara Winery video. It just rained a little bit and then it stopped. And then after it stopped raining, we're sitting in the winery restaurant place, and they end up moving these walls. These walls were like full-size see-through windows, but they ended up moving the whole walls to open up the fresh air while we're having our wine and cheese because it had stopped raining. We walked around beautiful olive trees, tons of olive trees and then the winery was surrounded by all these really big, beautiful mountains around the Takara Winery. And so that was a very fun video to make. Before I stepped into the Takara Winery wine tasting and restaurant area, they had a really neat water feature that was flowing into another like water pond area. And they had beautiful artwork on the outside of the Takara Winery restaurant and tasting place. So it was really, really good. They had also beautiful artwork around there to look at as well at the Takara Winery. Hey, what's up? One Step Asia Tours. How's it going? I'm doing good. How are you? I'm just saying hello to the people in the chat there. Hey, how are you? Towards the end of my life here, I'm talking about all the travel vlogs and videos I made for my channel. So, and I'm finishing up with talking about the Takara winery experience. So yeah, that was my first time going to a winery of any kind, and it was kind of neat that I did it in Cape Town, South Africa, which was pretty awesome. So I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I guess when people see my channel name, Wolf Bushcraft, yes, it does have outdoors and camping and gear reviews, but it also has travel vlog videos for people that like travel as well. So, and once again, the countries that I got to go to, I went to Dominican Republic, but I didn't get to make YouTube videos about that, but I had a good time in the Dominican Republic. The videos I did get to make were from Cancun, Mexico, Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So I made travel vlogs for all those areas. Another area where I made travel vlog videos is Lima, Peru, South Africa, where I'm sorry, I'm mixing them up. Lima, Peru, South America. I got to make travel vlog videos from Lima, Peru, South America, and you see me visiting the playa, and playa means beach in Spanish. I'm visiting Playa San Bartolo, which is right next to Santa Maria Playa. So, yeah, at the start of that video, me and my little family walked down these steps in Lima, Peru. Once again, we're at the San Bartolo Beach, and we're like in a little tiny cove there. And as my family starts to swim there, I start to go up the very top, and I start walking on the boardwalk, and I start sharing more of my video there about being on the boardwalk there, overlooking all of San Bartolo Beach, which was pretty awesome. Yeah, I enjoy going to San Bartolo Beach. It's a good little drive. I want to say it takes about of course, the traffic there can be heavy in Peru. Probably if there was no traffic, it probably would take just an hour to drive to San Bartolo. But with heavy traffic, it seems like it takes a few hours to go there to San Bartolo Beach. And I can't brag enough about the Peruvian food that I had in Peru. My wife's family's from Peru. And I mean, I'm not just saying this since my wife's family's from Peru. I really do love Peruvian food. And take it from a guy who really loves eating food. Peruvian food's really awesome. And you can ask other people from other parts of South America what they think of Peruvian food, and they'll tell you they love Peruvian food. I also made a few videos here in the States of visiting Peruvian restaurants here in the States. There's this one Peruvian restaurant here in Indianapolis, Indiana, called Don V's Peruvian Sandwiches. And basically, it's putting a Peruvian meal on a sandwich. It's really good. I've had lomo sentado sandwich, which is I'd recommend. If you're ever in Indianapolis, Indiana, try and visit Don V's Peruvian Sandwiches because it's a really good sandwich. And I think they're priced fairly for the amount of food you get on your sandwich. So I usually, the lechon is a pork sandwich from Peru, lechon, and then the lomo sentado is also a sandwich you can order. So those are the two main sandwiches we order when we're ever in Don V's. Here in Indianapolis, it's a Peruvian sandwich place. Speaking of sandwiches, I got to have a really awesome sandwich when I was at an Indian restaurant in Cape Town, South Africa. And it's a really, they call it the Gatsby sandwich. And if you type in Gatsby sandwich in Cape Town, South Africa, you'll get to see everything that's in a Gatsby sandwich. And since I watched those videos, I laughed when my daughter ordered a size I knew was going to be really, really big. But I knew what size to order me because I saw those other YouTube videos about the Gatsby sandwich that's in the Indian restaurant. And you can only seem to order this Gatsby sandwich at Indian restaurants in Cape Town, South Africa. The Indian restaurants here, I believe, do not have that Gatsby sandwich. So if you ever go to Cape Town, South Africa, and you go to the Indian restaurant, make sure you order the Gatsby sandwich. It's a really good restaurant to try in Cape Town, South Africa. So I'm so glad I went to Cape Town, South Africa, because it was my last big travel trip I got to take before the pandemic hit. And I just had an awesome time. Yeah, the food was really great in Cape Town, South Africa. It was really awesome. End up going to a really nice fine steak restaurant in Cape Town, South Africa as well, which was pretty nice. But really enjoyed that Gatsby sandwich when I was in Cape Town, South Africa. Well, thank you to those who've showed up for my live here. I appreciate you guys and gals. You guys and gals rock. Thank you to the guys and gals that will see this live stream later. I appreciate you guys as well. You want to help out my channel, one of the best ways, especially if you know for sure you like and enjoy the content here, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell. And that way, every time I post a new video or even post a live stream, especially if you hit the notification bell, it'll let you know each time I throw up a new video or, of course, make a new live stream. So I hope you guys and gals are all doing well out there. Thanks again for stopping by and saying hi at your buddy Lone Wolf Bushcraft. And I'll talk to you later. Take care, guys and gals. Later, Gators. Peace. Take care, everybody. Thanks for those of you that stayed with me the whole time I was making this live. You guys and gals rock. I appreciate it. And I'm glad I was able to share with you guys and gals. I'm glad I was able to share with you about the Bushcraft 101 book by Dave Canterbury. And I'm glad I got to show you off the variety of different folder knives as well. So much love to you guys and gals. I hope you guys and gals all stay safe. I hope you're all doing well out there. Once again, my name's JR, aka Lone Wolf Bushcraft, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys and gals. Peace. Later, Gators. Take care.